things first, you already win. You already him, you don't gotta pretend. Fuck them, you already king. You stay real, you confident in your skin. It's all now, sit in the power that you already in. This the story of a master from a true Bedouin, far away from home than few ever been. First round pick, league of the smooth gentlemen. The game rigged like 50 said it's a cruel sentiment. I'm from the era when lyrics and bars is over everything. 5-star veteran. You couldn't walk in my fucking shoes or carry them. Excuse my borderline is very thin. Married to the game like ever since maybe 2010. I realized most of y'all not serious. Point blank period. I flex and twist necks like cherry stems. Thought he was buried, but there he is, a new narrative. I keep winning.
They not used to what you bringing, kid.
I keep winning.
They don't even know what they looking at.
I keep winning.
Man, yo, pick one lane and stay.
What up? How we doing? How we doing? This is how Billy sees it. And this is June 10th, 2024, 8 o'clock. And I haven't done a show in a while, but I'm excited because we got a guest. And we've had him on before. Very good dude. I'm excited to start this conversation. So let's jump right in. Jay Julien, what up?
Hey, what's good? What's good?
I'm good, man. I'm doing good. I wanted to get you on here. Thanks for doing it. And there's so much we can talk about, man, because just to follow up on our last conversation, the last time we talked, which was great. And I was thinking about how to get into it. How do I start the conversation? I think the best way to do it is to think about like how we found each other online, right? And how like I was and I continue to be really impressed with like some of the creative ways you approach things and talk about things online. So you post about love, you post about community, you post about masculinity, you post about uplift. It's a lot of inspiring and creative ways to think about how we can think about each other. Why do you do that? Why do you put any energy towards that?
Primarily just to inspire, use social media as an opportunity to build connections, have thought-provoking conversations, sometimes, joke around, make people laugh.
Yeah.
Try to, brighten up people's day, motivate people. It's different motivations for me personally, but ultimately I want to use social media just to, add some value to, people's lives.
What if I'm a cynic? What if I'm like, social media is not about that, man. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, or it doesn't work or some shit like that. Like, do you, how does that sound to you?
I mean, if that's how you feel, then it's cool. Like, I don't care. Like, it's a tool. You can use it for what you want to use it for, right? Personally, I've been, using social media less, but I choose to use it intentionally in a positive way. I've shared this before on a post years ago, but, I had a battle with depression. I had a battle with suicidal thoughts, ideation, suicidal attempts, and I got to a place where all I wanted to consume was things that's going to make me feel good about myself, feel good about life, feel good about my relationships, community, so forth and so on. So I try to put that out there because, someone may be going through what I was going through at, that time period of my life. So for me, it's just like, how can I continue to just push out positive, inspirational things, or just make people think, help people, dive deep into, what their beliefs are, why they believe what they believe, and how it's impacting their life, if it's beneficial or not. And people can, choose to do what they want at the end of the day, but ultimately, the end goal is to have us all live our best version of our lives. So we all have to make that decision for ourselves. And I just try to help people, motivate them to get there, give them a little extra fuel, you know what I mean, throughout the day.
Definitely. The way I view it, man, I love that, man. And the way I view it too is like, there's without a doubt that it is meaningful, that it isn't impactful. We know enough about like human psychology and symbols and a certain image, a certain idea can change someone's entire like mental framework for the entire rest of the day. You know what I mean? And you start to experience the rest of the day entirely differently because you started off with a sense of a positive thing. I know this firsthand, and I'm pretty sure you know this firsthand, and that's part of what motivates me to do exactly the same thing. Right? Is like, um, you know, there's a way to approach social media that kind of um, to kind of inflame, you know what I'm saying? And then there's a way of just kind of saying, here's stuff going on in the world and let's interpret it together. You know, and I really appreciate that second part.
Most definitely. I mean, that's why we're here together. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we're not on earth by ourselves. We're on earth together. So we can all have our own interpretation, but at the end of the day, we have to find some common ground and figure out how we can make, our collective reality beneficial and healthy and sustainable.
Yes. And to me that is a weird, like, it is the challenge of love, right? Because it's encompassing everything. Love to me is like you can't pretend things away. You have to try to deal with the totality of stuff. The lack of love means I can exclude this perspective. I can exclude this group of people. I can carve out X, Y, and Z and um, attach myself strongly to something. Uh, Love has this element of the going beyond that. I feel.
I think love is it's the highest form of intelligence, right? And the energy of love will always find a win-win scenario. Love will always find a solution to a problem. The issue or the conflict or our dilemma is that a lot of ego, a lot of selfish ambition, a lot of uh, other energy gets mixed into our conversations when we're trying to figure out how to fix things
Yes.
within our interpersonal relationships, which is why we don't get to a solution, which is why we continue to have the same problems over and over and over again. It's just because there's a lack of love there.
Absolutely. And one of the things too, like as I'm listening to you and I'm like following you directly, I realize that words hit different at different for different people and at different periods. You know what I mean? Like there are things you're saying that I internalize, and I totally and like if you said it 10 years ago, I would think maybe you're just saying sophistry. You're just saying poetic, cool stuff, you know? But love and energy, you know what I mean? Like these are these are kind of vague. So I've been really interested in the limitation of like the linguistics as you're creating a sentence trying to point to something really brilliant, you know? And so we say energy, and 10 years, like someone who's really kind of, again, me as a when I consider myself an atheist and was really kind of confident about that, these words all seem kind of weird and not saying much, you know? Do you see the same kind of challenge I feel as we try to articulate this thing?
I think we use a lot of different words to say the same thing. And I try to keep things as basic as possible because um, I like to get to the root of the conversation. I don't want to like complicate it, right? So um, certain words can trigger things in people um, because it may be connected to uh, a particular religion or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think energy is energy, right? That's scientific. So I try to use words like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, um, I, what I'm saying is love is the driving motivation
Mm-hmm.
that gets problems fixed, right?
I agree.
Um, Regardless of what word or verbiage you want to use to get to that understanding, that's the ultimate. point that I'm trying to make. So I do agree, like certain words that we throw out there, it can throw people off. It could be very vague. People might not understand it, or they may have a misunderstanding of it. Like
Yes.
there's a lot of miseducation going on. Um, Even in energy, like that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people based off of what they've been
Where
taught.
they're exactly.
So I agree. I agree. So
Yeah.
it's difficult to uh, address certain things because we use so many of the same words for different reasons.
Yeah.
Um, but as long as, and I think that's what conversation is for, right? If someone either doesn't understand or is misunderstanding, then there should be a follow-up question.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
or I won't say that there should be, but there's room and opportunity to ask a question for more clarity. And for me, I'm that type of person. If someone
Yes.
says something and there's no clarity there, then I'm gonna ask a question to understand what they're trying to communicate. And whether I agree or disagree, that it doesn't matter. But I love to understand clearly what someone is saying, so I don't walk away assuming that you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
totally grasp what they were trying to say, and I was far off. So
Very
yeah,
important, man. Very important. This is like something we aren't taught. We aren't taught about this subtext and the ways that are interpreted each differently in our minds, and that we have to bridge this gap. If we just, it's not enough to simply say words at each other. We have to try to understand where each other comes from, the pre-existing ideas that each other has, and to leave room for that so that it could actually mesh. A perfect example of this, man, it's like relates to love, it relates to faith, which I think is important to both of us. I saw a friend of mine post on social media. They reposted a meme talking about the universe, and it was a meme talking about the universe and how the universe loves you and how the universe wants for you what you want for yourself, and something like this. And they,
right,
they reposted that, and then left a caption with like a questioning face going, but did the universe die for my sins, question mark. And they, so
right,
they don't like the narrative of the universe caring for them. They need that, they're attached to that story of the cross, and they need that to be important for Jesus. And I know so I'm interested in how you, because it was really, as I noticed this, I was like, dang, I thought about responding to them, and I decided to just leave it alone. But this thing about like symbols, like symbols, words, versus like our ability to see that we're talking about the same thing. What do you think?
yeah. I mean, that's the I want to say universal conflict, between religions and just spiritual thought. Um, I've experienced the same thing. Like sometimes I use universe, in explaining certain things or just talking about certain things, and I've gotten similar responses. Um, Whereas I don't use the universe as God or a God, right? I believe God created the universe. So whenever I use it intentionally for a reason. I do believe that God created a universe that conspires on our behalf, right? Everything that God created is here to serve us and help us. So even in that, post that you're talking about, I agree with that. So I just think that people get so caught up in the uh, trendy words and the wars between them that they don't even care about what's being said. If you just say a certain word, then it's time for a fight or a conflict, right?
Or you didn't
And
say that a certain word.
it happens even between people in the same religion. So that's why I don't even get into a lot of that because, there's like tens of thousands of different denominations within Christianity. So I'm not trying to hear did Jesus die? Like, okay, cool, I get it, right? Jesus died on the cross, that's your savior. You don't want to hear about the universe, but then why is there still like tens of thousands of different denominations and y'all are fighting over that. Like there's no unity or harmony within your own religion. So why don't you fix that first before you start talking to other people about what they believe? Like that's my thought process.
Yeah.
But I'm done with that. You know what I mean? Like I don't have time to argue over those things because we're not even fixing things here on earth. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
gonna argue about that. Like there are real life social ills that take place right now that need our attention. And God says, if you love me, you'll follow my commandments. And one of those commandments is love your neighbor as yourself. So if I have time to love my neighbor, which is maybe feed the homeless or serve somebody or, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
advocate on behalf of somebody or whatever it is. I would rather do that than argue over, you know, religious texts.
So you don't do script battles, man, like scripture battles sometimes, man? Because
No
I
scripture.
definitely don't. 'Cause but I, I never did. But even as I'm trying to find my spiritual footing again, and I feel very strong where I am. I know that I'm always evolving. I know that the world is evolving. I know the universe is evolving. I know it's all an evolution, and I'm excited about how uh, you know, see things. I know that I see potential. That's why it's important to love. That's why it's important to post because it's not it's not over. Nothing is done. We're here. The present is here. This is always an opportunity. There's always an opportunity. And that's even it's funny how, one of my critiques is sort of the way I was grew up in Christianity is on some like this idea that the good place is somewhere else. That subtle belief makes you less interested in the here and now, makes you less interested in what you just said about like taking care of the present and the earth because the earth is seen as separate from the good. It is we're here because motherfuckers ate the apple, right? It's like, but that's all a narrative, right? That's all a story. That's a allegory. It's like it's not. Do you see it that way?
Even in that statement that you just said, as far as like the good place is seen as somewhere else, right? Even on a very basic level, the good place being the church is seen as sacred and not everywhere we put our feet, right?
Everywhere.
Everywhere we are is sacred. The good place is where we are right now. If I'm going through something, I should be able to have uh, whatever type of worship ceremony, whatever it is, prayer, whatever I want to do to connect with God to get through whatever I'm going through. I should be able to do it here. I shouldn't feel like, oh, I gotta wait till Sunday to go worship. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
even on that very basic level, we've created a idol out of church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We create idols out of a lot of things, huh?
We definitely create idols out of a lot of things for sure.
It's really subtle how that works, though. It's like you think idols, you're thinking like a statue or something. It's like no, it's a way of thinking. It's a way of I don't know. It's a way of carving up the world and giving precedence and value to things that don't necessarily have to have that value. You know what I mean? Like we are doing that.
Right.
That's what helps me come back to center is being able to uh notice that I'm bringing my biases, man, to everything. I can't help that. I'm bringing my perspective to stuff. I'm bringing my and that there is a deeper connectedness that then brings me back to opportunity for peace. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, man. It's we're miseducated and we're manipulated. And I hate to sound like this, but we're not conditioned or taught how to do that, right? Because we're conditioned to depend on other institutions,
Yeah.
whether that be corporate America, whether that be the institution of a church or any other institution. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're meant or we're programmed and taught to lean on those things. So we rarely look within and, like you said, like find that center. You know what I mean, within
Yeah.
ourselves. And,
It's a challenge, especially if you without the training and without the awareness that it's even a what I mean, like the awareness that it's even a thing, and what you're saying is so interesting about the programming, because I try to think about, there's a reason that these people like the Buddha and the people the people kind of go away. They go into a solitude state for a second, because the world, and this is even, we're talking about a long time ago, but today we are constantly being inundated with media. We are constantly being inundated with ideas about like the ideal that force us to grapple with ourselves against it. And I say, even like I'm constantly, when I'm out in the world, let's say, and I'm going to work and blah, blah, people, I'm the employee. Like I'm responding to being the employee. I'm responding to being the son of my mom, or the brother, or the, and at some point you got to pull, you know what I mean? So if you're doing that all that, and you're constantly these things, uh we don't even realize how that thing has an effect on us, and it's pulling us. And maybe it should, like, some of these things should be pulling us. It's just, it's the tension of life. But I need to make sure that I'm also pressing into that imprint. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just receiving those imprints.
mhm. Yeah,
Like,
we definitely have to be intentional and mindful and strategic in how we maneuver throughout the world on a day-to-day basis. I definitely like to just take inventory of how my day has gone. You know what I mean? The
yes,
conversations I've had, the things that I've done or didn't do. You know what I mean? The things that I thought about doing, procrastinated on, or refused to do. Like just really, taking that time to understand how I'm living life and how it's impacting me and the people around me, and vice versa. How are those people impacting or influencing me as well? And
it's huge.
I think, you know, we, I think a lot of us, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but a lot of us get to a point where we think that we're the anomaly and like nothing's
Mm,
going to affect me. Like I'm like super duper like in tune with who I am, and
mm,
I can like expose myself to everything and everybody and I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean? And it's like
mm.
that's not realistic, right? Um, we're going to be affected by our environment. That's just like it's a fact.
It's
Like
what it is.
um, now we get to choose how much we allow our environment to affect us, but we can't live life without any, what's the word I'm looking for? We can't live life, walk throughout life, and not be wise about the decisions that we're making.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. Could you let me give a couple in an applause for that, actually. Could you tell me more techniques like that? Practical tech, like I said, for me, practically, I try to. I'll add another one, so then maybe you can add one. Man, I'll tell you what, being married with Sheba has been hugely powerful for me. She's a great mirror for me, and I realized a lot of my patterns. And I always kind of, I think I've been a good person, but I really like who I am now. I've grown in so many ways. I really enjoy myself, and part of that was going through this thing with realizing that Sheba helped me, like, talk about myself as safe, that I'm safe, that things are safe. It's okay. I can take a risk. I can, I was really familiar with like doing the right thing. I always had to do the right thing, and I had to act safe. I need to make sure I keep doing, stay in the right lanes and this and that. And that was playing on me in a way I didn't understand. I didn't even feel it. I don't feel it, but that was a driving thing about certain behaviors. And so it's helpful for me sometimes to remind myself that I'm safe, I am free, I am powerful, you know? Like I will literally take the time to close my eyes and say those things to myself, uh, and to give gratitude and be grateful for those things. Um, because I can sometimes forget those things. And I believe that I move differently in the world if I am forgetful of those things, you know? So to be intentional, I realize that this is true. I realize that those statements are true, but that the problem is sometimes I forget, you know? So it's simply a matter of reminding myself, you know? And then man, that's been so helpful for me. So yeah. Do you have any other techniques or
Um, I have a lot of different techniques.
talk to me, bro? Talk to the
So,
people.
well, just to piggyback off of what you just said, um, I say to myself, everything is paradise. Um, and that's just like a reminder to myself that just everything that God created, including me, is paradise. Now we can choose to enjoy it or we can choose to destroy it, right?
Mm,
And knowing that I choose to enjoy it, that makes me feel safe. That makes me maneuver in a way that also tries to create paradise for everybody else.
mm.
So I just wanted to share that because it was similar to uh, the one that you just shared.
Love that.
Um, one of my exercises that I got from a book called what is it? I think it's called Happy New Year.
Okay.
I think it's called Happy New Year. Um, but it's a book basically just teaching you how to increase your level of happiness and basically you journal uh, how happy you are on a scale from 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day. So maybe like morning, noon, and at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And you just break down like what happened during these time periods of the day that made you either feel less happier or more happier.
Mm,
And you document that throughout the week, and then you start finding ways to do more of what made you happy, right?
mm.
And that was something that really helped me get out of depression. It's just focusing on that, documenting and being able to see, oh, okay, this happened today and that brought my energy down, or I had this conversation, or I had an argument, or I went to work and that was stressful, or I, took a walk and that was beautiful, or I created something and I just started to pull on those things, and I really just started creating a pile of things that made me happy. And I started waking up, scheduling time to do what made me happy, um, more so than the things that were adding, stressors to my life.
Love that.
Another thing that I do every now and then, um, I like to write and burn. So I'll write, journal things that are like deeply troubling me.
Mm,
It could be a fear, it could be, you know, uh, regrets, whatever. And I'll just write them out and like get as raw and vulnerable as possible. And then I'll just burn it, you know what I mean, as
mm.
like a ceremony. I also, every now and then, I'll have uh, how do I say it? I'll write uh, to myself from three different perspectives. I'll write from the perspective of my younger self. I'll write from the perspective of my present self. And then I'll write from the perspective of my older self or future self. And
I
um,
love that. First off, I gotta do shocks on that because I love that shit right there. I don't know where you about to go with this, but just the beginnings of that is amazing to me. But go ahead.
so um, for me, I do that to find value. I won't say value. but it's an exercise to love all versions of myself, I'll say.
Mm.
And understanding that each perspective or each voice or who I was in each moment um, was the best version of myself in that moment. And I reverence that perspective. I honor that perspective, and I give it space to be authentically what it is, or who it was, or who I was in the moment. So um, that also gives me, you know, different opportunities to look at my life from different vantage points, um, and understand that there's really no right or wrong in how I've been seeing things or the decisions that I've been making. It's really all about, what works or what's beneficial or what's progressive or what's going to get me to my future destination. And
Love
that's
that.
really the what matters most to all three versions of myself. So, and then I like to walk. I love walking in nature, just walking, clearing my head,
That's
and
what's up.
just being one with nature.
Yeah, man, you said so much in there, bruh. You said so much. I'm really I'm a big fan of that time thing too, the letters. I mean, there's several things in there. Um one of them, the documenting the happy and the documenting of the day. That to me is a brilliant manifestation of like paying attention, you know, paying attention, bro. You go through the day and you go through the day and we don't properly document, we don't properly pay attention. This is another one of those things. As a kid, you hear stop and smell the roses, and you don't
Right, right,
it doesn't hit until I hits now. I understand what it means. It's a metaphor for something, a very powerful skill um to pay attention to as we walk through. So, and the other thing about it too is you go through the day and you don't properly document these changes in your environment and settings and these decisions and how they affected your energy. And then at the end of the day, if someone asks you how your day went, for the most part, I don't know if this is true for you, man, like it depends on who it is. Like I had people in the Christian community who they always say blessed and favored, highly, so just that's the thing you're supposed to answer. And then there's also this other side where it's more complaint oriented because we didn't document it in a real serious way. We didn't get the texture that you're talking about. Then you focus on the thing that happened that was wrong, or you just kind of quickly say that everything is blessed. And how crazy it is to pay attention and actually get a more representative truth about how your day went and how the choices you made in the day produce that versus thinking that these things happen to you.
right, right.
So that was dope, and thank you for that. And I think there's probably an app or something that does something with that as well, probably. But we don't need an app. We
Probably,
probably just
probably.
write it on a paper. Um, what else did you talk about? Oh, creating. Yeah, writing. To me, when you write and then you burn, or to create something, to take that energy and and put it outside of the body. Energy again. What are we talking about? You might go, oh, that's woo woo woo, and that's whatever. It's like it is something that I will use energy. It actually, I think the word energy is valuable and works, but it's actually a space that has a paucity of language. We're talking about something that we don't have a lot of language around. And maybe let's
Right,
get serious and have more language about it. And in fact, one of the better ways to have language about it is to get in there and to start to like map it better, right? Because I think it's been neglected. And I think but there's something interesting and magical about creating from a genuine space, about releasing from a genuine space, putting your thoughts that are and the experiences that are internal and putting them on something. And whether you burn it or not, Sheba and I do this thing at the beginning of the year, these like vision boards. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's so funny as a man, we don't get into masculinity. I guess we've been doing masculinity this whole time, but like the as a man, vision boards, this creative endeavor of vision boards can be, we kind of can mock it, right? You take on the magazines and cutting up fucking images, whatever. Like this is a girly thing, or this is something not logical or worth the time, or even like you said, like posting on social media. It's not worth. We should be making money. What you out here fucking talking about
Right,
love on social media? Get the bag.
right.
So I love that a different like you're coming with a different energy that I think is needed and appreciated. But then that's a whole. I got into a whole thing there actually. But like how we find calm and sharing that with the rest of us, because each of us gets better and everything gets better collectively as we each come in tune with our best version. That's one of my theories.
So yeah. So I think for me, even talking about masculinity, as a man, we have to choose and decide what kind of man we want to be, right? Individually. And for me
Yes.
personally, um, I want to be a safe haven, a safe space. I want to be a healer. I want to be calm. I love it when, and this has been something that has been happening for years. Like I don't even put this out there like that. So I don't want to say it like I want it to continue,
Mm.
but I have observed that probably over the last 6, 7 years, people will come up to me and say, "Yo, like you're always so zen," or "I feel so calm or safe around you," or whatever. And for me, that it means a lot for me because, like I said, I at one point was suicidal, so I didn't even have uh, peace within at
Wow.
a certain point in time.
Wow.
So for me to have the amount of peace that I do have now, to the point where other people can feel it without even me doing or saying anything, that means a lot for me, right? So I
That's
want to
huge.
continue to uh, just radiate love and radiate safety and peace, because I believe it's powerful and I believe that it's transformative. And I know a lot of people who come from very chaotic backgrounds and environments and homes, and I believe that everyone deserves to have a level of peace or paradise, as I spoke about before.
Mm.
So for me, that's kind of you know what I appreciate or value about masculinity the most, but it's my own personal goal.
Yeah. I love that, man. Yeah. The the thing about getting that compliment, that's actually a huge compliment. I love when I get that as well. It's actually a very meaningful compliment. You could see that, and it makes you go, wow. And what you're saying, the way you interpret it is perfect. Your cup of peace is so bountiful that you're spreading it, and people have the benefit of being around you, and that is powerful and generative, and it's an energy. It's not something that can be articulated so deeply. It's not something that can be quantified and monetized. That's a
Mhm.
challenge too. I feel like, right, just the way we culturally are, that we need things to be monetized and quantified. Like we have to put a number
And
on something.
bottled up and branded and sold.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's actually it's bigger than that. It's so powerful, it can't be contained by that. You might be able to market something, you might be able to market a part of what it is. There are markets for like all the skills that you bring, you know what I mean? But that it's just an all-encompassing thing. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And to know that the peace can come from within, right? That again, when I think about like my childhood, I had a sense of chaos, and I felt that the peace came from getting a really high paying job. And that would be the place. That's how peace comes.
Hmm.
But that's not true. And we know that from everyone, but people who tell us their stories. Um,
Plenty of people.
yes, exactly.
Long line of people who share their stories, and their experiences. And I think it's important for us to honor those stories. You know what I mean? I think fortunately and unfortunately, and I think I heard a comedian say this or something, but if not, whatever. But
Uh-huh.
to be an American is to have the freedom to uh, see the breadcrumbs lead to destruction and say, not me. This is not going to happen to me. Right?
Mm.
I'm going to get enough money, or I'm going to get enough fame, or my status is going to be high enough that what that person went through is not going to happen to me.
Mm. Mm. Interesting. That's the mythology, right?
That's the American dream.
That's the American dream. Yeah. Yeah, and it's so complex now, right? Like we have such a if we just slightly into politics here, you know, the Trump uh black male excitement. I don't know if you've seen some of this. I feel like it's a weird because our politics is so dumb and our national conversations are so dumb. Um we have this like knee jerk Biden's got all kinds of problems, but I'm seeing this like hip hop, and I know this is funded and it's well like it's a marketing scheme as well. But there's this black man excited. It's a hip hop Trump deal merger kind of thing. It just feels really silly and weird. Are you seeing this?
Um, well, it's been years in the making. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? As far as like the hip hop Trump relationship, right?
yeah.
It was happening before he was even president. So, people build relationships and bonds and covenants that, you know, they stay committed to regardless of what their personal beliefs are or um,
Are these the idols we're
what
talking about?
exactly. Um, you know, at a certain point, you would hope that people's moral compass kicks in. I believe everyone has a moral compass. Everyone has intuition. Everyone has a connection with a higher power. And when I say connection, I don't mean relationship. I just mean that a higher power has created us and is within us, and gives us the ability to see beyond, the superficial and surface level things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think the challenge for a lot of us is that we don't understand how much engineering, social engineering, goes behind media, politics, religion, education, the whole thing, right? So we respond to the now, and we're not understanding that like we're playing catch up. Like they're
Mm,
so far ahead of us
mhm.
that even in our response, that was calculated and planned. You know what I mean? So, um,
Yes.
to answer your question, as far as the Trump thing, I've been seeing it, but I've been staying away from a lot of programming that even promotes anything like that, because
It's the right move.
it's just a distraction. You know what I mean? And they will find a way to slowly, what's the word I'm looking for? Just drop enough seeds in you to just alter what your gut is telling you, right?
That's wild.
Or to even question what your gut is telling you.
Hmm.
And I think that's ultimately, um, I know we were going to transition into the masculinity topic, um, I guess officially, but I think that when it comes to our society, a lot of what we're dealing with is because a lot of men are ignoring their gut.
Men are ignoring their gut in service of what? What are they putting their energy towards instead of their gut? I guess it depends, huh?
They're
Their
idols.
idols. Yeah.
Money, status, it's chasing the American dream. You know, I'll stand next to this person, or I'll uh, support this person or promote them in hopes that when they get in position that I'll be rewarded. You know what I mean? Or
That's it.
even in the Diddy situation, I will be right next to him while he continues to let his ego, you know, run his life,
Yeah.
and hopes that maybe I can sell some more records or make more money, or, you know, be a Ciroc boy or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then when everything explodes and it's exposed, and, you know, no one wants to take accountability for, you know, not standing up for what's right.
Yeah. Yeah. What you're saying there about men too is important. I like that you speak to men. You know, a lot of the dudes that I end up agreeing with you more often, right? But people that I disagree with, part of the thing I see is not just the things they're saying, but it's the audience they seem to be trying to, not the, let's see, because they're still, the audience they're looking for is still men, but they're always pointing out something about women. It's usually men pointing something about women, or cis identifying men pointing something about gay people, or Christians pointing out something about someone outside of their thing. And so I think I think there's something valuable, something about love. This ties into everything we've been talking about. Something about being present, something about paying attention, where something about using language properly and efficiently, right? Like accurately, where you talk to yourself. You talk about yourself and your group and your thing. You notice the, what is it? You notice the wood in your own eye, whatever the fuck,
Right,
right?
the plank.
The plank in your own eye. If you're a dude, if you spend 80% of your time talking about the problems of women, you are um at worst you're like a manipulative, like Andrew Tate kind of charlatan, right? At best, you're trying to do something impossible. You're trying to articulate the inner workings of some woman somewhere, and you're everything you do, like you don't understand her experience in any way. And so it's easy for you to come up with rhetoric to sort of box her in and call her a couple of words or something. I see this, like, I don't know, man. If you're in like some chat groups with your boys, whatever, like it can be easy to fall into a discussion about women. There's no women in the room. There's no women to, we can critique the world, the problems in the world. We can lay it on this group of people who, without offending anyone that we want to be friends with in this room. And so we got to be careful. And that's what white people do sometimes. And that's what we all are capable of, this thing. So
Right.
yeah.
For me, it all started, um, you know, from the Serenity Prayer, right? I used to continually say that during my time of depression. I also dealt with alcohol abuse, and I would say the Serenity Prayer like throughout the day. You know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the strength to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? And um, I understood that the only thing that I can control, that's what I'm going to focus on. So I try to come from that angle, especially um, when it comes to men, because we don't understand the power that we have, which is why a lot of men focus on the external. But we also don't understand that we emasculate ourselves, and we basically uh, we're unconsciously saying to ourselves that we are powerless when we start blaming everybody else instead of taking accountability for what we can control, and working on getting better incrementally each day, right? And as you get better each day, your environment and your surrounding will get better. And when you do that, then you start to really uh, experience how powerful you really are. And um, I speak to men because I'm trying to help them, you know, find some inspiration and also realize that, everyone else isn't the problem. You know, we deal with a lot of depression, we deal with a lot of addiction, we deal with a lot of internal issues, um, trauma, and so forth and so on, because we're not taught how to look within, right? We're either taught to force forcefully fix something or to blame somebody, right? So because we can't use force or violence towards women,
Mm.
now we verbally, or we use our Twitter fingers, you know what I mean, like to
Mm-hmm.
like bash them, because like we can't, we want to really hurt you but we can't, so we'll just spend every day just talking about how you get on our nerves, like, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and to me
Yeah.
that's not manly at all, you know what I mean, like,
That's right.
um so, but, you know ultimately it's like, yo, I love you, man, like, your life can be a lot better if you just take a different approach, if you focus on what you can control
Yeah.
and lead by example, you know what I mean, like, I think that we're not teaching men that enough. If we lead by love, which we have never seen, it's not documented in history, I'll say,
Mm-hmm.
a time where men collectively led by love and then watched how that impacted
Mm.
society, right? So even if hypothetically, or uh, let's let's stick with hypothetically, women were the problem. If we led by love, that would change everything,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So us, we can't logically change people. We can have logical debates all day, every day, but the majority of our decision making processes comes from emotions, right?
Right.
So even if there's a conflict or issue, um, where a man may feel like a woman isn't showing up, in the way that they believe that they should show up as, you can't logically change that person.
You can't.
So if you feel like whatever your issue is needs to be addressed, in my opinion, show up as love and watch your love transform that person.
It's crazy. And love in this way means accepting. It means accepting. Correct? Or it's like a similar.
And first listening. You know what I mean? Like, if you're saying someone needs to be a certain way and they're saying they don't want to be that way, then there's no need to argue. There's nothing to argue about at that.
That's right. That's right. Something has been articulated. Something has been made clear. How can you? What position can you even continue any argument from? That's the weird thing. But this is the we've all been fed a series of lies that make us think that we have this opportunity, that everything is external, and that we have the opportunity to force things. You're exactly right. One of the things that helps me with this is to understand that, like, we don't even, when we want women to do something, let's say, right, we can't even understand, like, we struggle to understand women's sexuality, from everything from, pick like Angel Reese or I don't know, man. We have this thing where she's a basketball player and she's attractive and she's feminine. She's a fantastic basketball player and she's also girly and she's also gonna do a little thing. And if you think, like, I mean, move away from Angel Reese now. I'm just talking generally now, like, just
Right.
women. They're like, the fact of they're beautifying themselves, the nails and the hair and the whatever they do, like, we can't understand it. It's not for us to understand, the way that we pose and find ourselves to be attractive. We don't notice that we do that. We don't notice that we also have expressions that are a projection of an ideal. And so we think that well, I'm just me, nigga. And so we see these women doing their thing just like us, but we don't term it the same way. So this is true all across the spectrum on everything that we're observing. And I say the for me it is releasing my need to understand it. I need to try to bottle things so that it makes sense in my little map that I have, and saying that life is more complex than that, women are more beautiful and complex than that, and I need to come back to self, and that's how I get to better understand self. So that was a bit of a that's my rant on
Yeah. I
on
think
that.
for me, I just learned to appreciate things, right? Um, I appreciate what I can't understand, and I take time to find more and more ways to appreciate what I don't understand.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
in that, then I can respect it and I can honor it, right? I don't have to understand everything, but I can appreciate and honor uh, everything around me. And I think that, you know, we spend a lot of time because we're humans, right? We want to understand things so we can compartmentalize it, right? Or we can label it, or we know where to put it,
Yes.
um, in order to make ourselves feel safe or secure. And when you say, "Yo, I'm safe," I
Mm-hmm.
am safe, I am
Mm.
free, everything's paradise. When you understand that, then you don't even have to worry about what's actually taking place around you that you don't fully understand because it doesn't matter. I'm going to be safe regardless.
That's right. It's a reflection of fear, what you're seeing in these people who are projecting anger and projecting their masculinity. You are actually looking at a fearful person. You're actually looking at a person who is struggling and grappling and not well adjusted to themselves and the world, and they have to ratchet themselves into a thing, and they have to ratchet you tightly into a thing instead of letting you be and letting themselves be. um
I think fear has been embedded in the socialization of masculinity, especially on the West, right?
mm,
And I think intentionally, um, because people can use men's fear to accomplish their agendas, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever agenda that is, right? Um, on the most basic level, uh, for the longest of times outside of sports, I'll say advertisers have had a challenge trying to get men to pay attention to TV. Like,
mm,
where can we reach men outside of sports? And the Andrew Tates and the Kevin Samuels of the world like ran social media like uh engagement up for men.
mm,
Like
mm.
like you said, like all that, posting about love and having these conversations and being on social media, whatever, like that's feminine, right? Go get some money or go get some women, like go do something, right?
Right, right.
But Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels hit the net and men were flooding, all of these, YouTube channels, social media platforms, even like they be on message boards and stuff like that. Like it's a whole different level of engagement.
Yeah.
That's all fear driven, right? So um, if we had a society filled with secure men who moved off of love and faith, they wouldn't even care about what those men had to say. You know what I mean? Like, so that just speaks to,
Right,
the basic
exactly.
level. Then on a macro level, we have all of these wars. Like all of these wars is driven by fear. And then you need men to go fight. You know
Yep,
what I mean? So,
yep, exactly.
that's, unfortunately, you know, what a lot of us have, been, what's the word I want? Those seeds have been planted in us and they've stayed with us since we were children.
Sure.
Fear from not making enough, fear from not being able to make enough money to, make a living, or fear from not being attractive enough to get the girl of your dreams, or fear for not being able to provide for your family, like fear for not being able to protect yourself if someone wants to run in your house or rob you or whatever. Like
Yep.
it's a million different things that we try to like, you know, plant into to young boys that they grow up like just embodying. You know what I mean? And that's not healthy at all.
Big time. My man. Yo. We got some good stuff in here, man. I really appreciate this hour. I've had you for about 55 minutes. Let's just go through some of the comments Sheba put, and maybe we can reply to that, and then I'll ask you to plug whatever you want to plug, and we do last words, my man. Okay. So Sheba says, thank you for sharing your truth and vision, strength emojis, flexing. It makes it easier for others to give themselves permission to share and heal, so we can create something new together. Right. That's the other part, like you said, like being an example. It's like it's okay in these waters to be vulnerable, to feel. Try to do the same. She says, love is the solution, 100. Sheba says, totally, we've been conditioned to seek authority and salvation externally rather than internally. That's philosophy, you know? That's philosophy, and that's religion.
Hmm.
Yeah. But you feel we're moving in a different direction, right? You feel the shift in the same way that I do, or similarly?
I'm very optimistic. I
Great.
do feel a shift. I think that, you know, we're getting to a place, and I think technology is getting us to a place where people are being, what's the word I'm looking for? We're having more opportunities to feel, you know what I mean, and to see life beyond what's being thrown at us or shoved down our throat.
Yes.
Um, because and I was talking to someone about this not too long ago, and I'll make this very quickly or quick, but uh, I remember like growing up, being a teenager, and experiencing what they call crowded loneliness, right? And in crowded loneliness during that time period, that would be you being at school or church or in the middle of a party or work or whatever, just amongst a lot of people, but still feeling alone. Now we have people who are tapped into social media that's connecting them to billions of people, and they're still feeling alone. And it forces you to really go within and figure out, like, yo, what's my purpose? You know what I mean? Like, who am I? You know what I mean? Like, how is the external world influencing who I am and the decisions I make and the connections that I have, and what's the quality of those connections? Like, these questions come from
Yes.
getting to a
Yes.
place where it's like, yo, you know, it's easy to like, back to your statement. If you always think the good place is somewhere else or someone else,
Mm.
and you continue to search. But when you're connected to billions of people, you realize, oh, okay, like we're a lot of us are alike, right? There's really nowhere else to go or no one else to run to. We have to run inside and search within and really figure things out so that we can create our own paradise right where we are.
That's brilliant. And I want to add to that you're touching on something related to like noticing, again, being present, for paying attention. This is a unique moment with all of the terrible stuff. It's also uniquely good, quote unquote. It's uniquely babies out there. Hey, um, we have the opportunity to see so much and to interact. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Oh, so cute. What's up?
Okay, go back to
Uh,
mommy. Go back to mommy.
that's beautiful, man. But like, like what you're saying, see so stuff, or even to test myself, Jay. Over the last several years, bro, I've been doing little tests with my talk about techniques, right? Little tests with myself. If there's something going on in the world that I want to talk about or post or repost, or if I have a pause and a fear about it, and angst around it, I I can have the opportunity to notice that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like I have this opportunity to notice that and then step into that and like actually say what I wanted to say anyway and grow from that. Do you know what I mean? That's something that wasn't possible 10 years ago. That was like a total impossibility 10 years ago or 15, 20 years ago, a generation ago to like micro grow like this, you know, to push into fear on a subtle level, like saying, like even being silly, you know, on online saying like, oh, I can do this. I can. What do you think about that?
I think I do think that it has changed. Um, I think I guess it depends on the person,
Yeah.
right? For me personally, I have seen a shift, um, but I like to move in the direction of fear.
Yes.
So, um, and not because I'm like obsessed with it, but because it helps me understand that what I'm fearful of isn't really as bad as I thought it was, right?
Yes.
Um, my imagination is normally more dangerous or more vicious or more unforgiving than reality is.
Yes.
So I've been intentionally just, saying, oh, okay, like I'm fearful of this, or I'm feeling some type of pushback or whatever, and I try to
To notice it and step
notice
into,
it
yeah.
and evaluate it and have that conversation, like why am I feeling like this? You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
then
And for me, it hasn't been like I don't necessarily need to post. Like, what I'm saying is like the technology gives us the opportunity to even have this like kind of to notice yourself on this kind of level in this subtle way. Like before, if you wanted to press into fear, you might have to do a wild like what was there? You would have to fucking go on a boat and go somewhere and take on a whole journey. Like here, I can notice a fear around something and it's so subtle. It's entirely for me. It's for no one else. You know, this conversation I can have around feeling that anxiety and understanding why it is. And then I actually had a period where I just said, fuck it. And I was just clicking yes. I say yes. The answer was yes. And by doing that for a while, it changed everything. I got to see, I can over time see like all those things that I was fearful of was silly. I'm still here. I'm still like I'm also not like it's also trust, right? Because I'm not an asshole and I'm not an idiot. I'm intentional and and I'm smart and what I want to say is valuable. I need to know that. I know that. The fact that I want to say it tells me that it's worth saying rather than needing to make sure it's something else. That's crazy.
100%. And the people who want to connect with you, build with you, grow with you, uh, have an intimate conversation with you, then they're gonna work through that conversation with you. And the people who don't, they're not supposed to be a part of that conversation.
That's
And
fucking right.
that's what I realized. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, every now and then, it's always someone who pops up and they have their, opinion, and they might have good intentions too. Um, Sometimes people are trolling, but ultimately, um, I believe, like you said to begin with, social media connected us. So if we didn't utilize it in the way that we did, we would never be connected. And
Yes.
there are many more people just like us, that want to be connected to each other. And I believe that we should continue to push out our positive posts and energy, intentions,
Yes.
to attract more people who want to connect. Like, it's not even about being like-minded. It's just, hey, do you want to do community with me? Do you want to do life with me? Do you want to figure this out? You know what I mean? To make the world a better place. Then cool. Like, and if you don't, then that's cool. Like, you can use social media for what you want to use it for. But ultimately, I think us being courageous, us being consistent, it also fuels other people, right? Because sometimes you can feel like you're the only one, right?
Yes.
Um, and when you have a tribe of people on social media that um, have a similar goal or end game as you, then it's like, yo, wake up in the morning, boom, oh, Billy just posted something dope. Like, I'm about to just read it, or he dropped some music or whatever, and it's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm not even in the mood, but yo, you just inspired me to, use my brain. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yeah.
just, okay, cool. Now let me share, what I got from that, or let me expound on this, and that's how we just keep things building and growing, and just allowing the world to, just feel that domino effect or butterfly effect
That's
of
it. The ripples.
that loving energy that we're trying to produce.
That's it. Exactly, bro. Exactly. So let's get a comment. Shiva says, trust your gut. Trust your intuition. Intuition is often considered feminine, so they trust logic precedent. But that's a trap, right?
Trap.
It's trust your gut, man. That's
Outside music.
yeah, right? Masculine equals do the rules. It's weird. It's weird. It's a trap. Shiva says it's actually Men's Mental Health Month. I don't know if y'all even realize that. You're just so
It
turned
is,
into the
yeah.
collective. All right, strength.
Mm.
Shiva says, oof, it's so true about the bitchy verbal abuse that dudes employ against the women. Oh, this is from before. Shiva says, yep, you're going to have to model something you've never seen before, especially except in our imaginations, right? Hell yeah, beautiful. She says, we're not going to logic our way out of this. We're going to have to feel our way through. Talk to him. Talk to him. TB, you get the applause.
Is feeling it.
Beyond Wise, what up, D? What's the deal? What up, Billy? Beyond Wise says, Shiva says, Shiva says, I think technology and AI help us imagine new ways of being and seeing ourselves and our world. Yeah, it does help us with that, especially, but it gives us the opportunity to do all kinds of things. So we could imagine an incredible. That's another thing I've been noticing, and this we can end with this, bro. My last thing, um, we can imagine things and we can do all kinds of things. We can do all kinds of positive things, or we can rehash weird fears. We can project our fears. Like I was actually thinking about the breadth of how many movies there are, this post-apocalyptic world, that the future is gonna be this crazy thing where we're fighting over water and all that stuff. There's a lot of movies that do that. And that's a reflection of the collective imagination, or at least the imagination that was funded at Hollywood. But that there's so many other imaginative stories that can lead us down any kind of path, and I'm really interested in those stories.
Exactly. Like, why don't we see more movies about a progressive, hopeful ending, right? Like, using imagination to figure out how to make the world a better place where we all can coexist. And I think for a lot of people that's boring, but I believe that even in a world that's a utopia of sorts, right? Um, there will always be new challenges that we can or will have to face, and those challenges don't have to be each other. And this is what I tell people: whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a tribe, a family, a community, I don't believe that uh, we have to be each other's challenges, right? I think that we come together to fix problems,
Mm.
not create them, right? And a lot of people can't see beyond relationships being very uh, contentious, or um, me versus you or us versus them. And it can always be us versus a new challenge. I won't even call it a problem, right?
Yeah.
where we can create new things or be innovative. We literally can live life that way. But you know,
Imagination. You really do need
a
it.
lot of people's imagination can't see beyond that. So you know,
And we're fed the other story. We're fed the story about the human nature or the man's nature of violence and of, you know what I'm saying, of
and I think that
taking.
that's a lie.
Exactly.
I don't think our nature is violent, or our nature is to conquer, or our nature is to be like overly ambitious or greedy or any of those things, to not be disciplined. I don't think that's our nature at all. I
Not at all.
believe that nature is truly loving. And once we change the beginning of the story, then we can start really identifying as something other than what we've been told we are.
Let's fucking go. Let's go. Hold on. That's what I'm talking about. No, I actually agree. There's root stories. There are root stories. There are root narratives that drive our understanding of our interactions. And the at the beginning of this conversation, if we come at it with the idea that it's going to be a battle and a debate, you and I are going against each other. We're trying to prove the other one wrong. Then we will start to perform that in subtle ways. We will start to choose different words. And so a different metaphor is sometimes better. A dance, a conversation, all this stuff. So brilliant stuff, my man. I really appreciate this conversation. Jay, thank you so much for doing it, man. If you have any last words before I let you go, bro.
No real last words. Just follow me and our movement at citizens.us. We're also the Citizens on Facebook and IG.
Spell that for
Yeah,
me.
man. Just trying to, be innovative, be transformative, push culture forward, and.
Yeah, Citizens is dope, by the way. Spell that for him, please, Jay.
That will be ctzns.us.
Yes.
That's the website, and ctzns on social media.
Yo, follow Jay. Very important dude. Very brilliant insights. Really chill. I really value what you bring, and glad to have this conversation with you, brother. I'll let you enjoy
Appreciate
your
you
family now.
having me.
All right. My man, take it easy. Have a good night.
You too.
Peace.
Peace.
Last things first, you already win. You already him. You don't gotta pretend. Fuck them, you already king. You stay real, you confident in your skin. It's all now. Sit in the power that you already in. This the story of a master from a true Bedouin, far away from home than few ever been. First round pick, league of the smooth gentleman. The game rigged like 50 said it's a cruel sentiment. I'm from the era when lyrics and bars is over everything. 5-star veteran. You couldn't walk in my fucking shoes or carry them. Excuse my borderline is very thin. Been married to the game like ever since maybe 2010. I realized most of y'all not serious. Point blank period. I flex and twist necks like cherry stems. Thought he was buried, but there he is, a new narrative. I keep winning.
They not used to what you bringing, kid.
I keep winning.
They don't even know what they looking at.
I
for
keep
real,
winning.
Man, yo, pick one lane and stay in that
I
shit.
keep winning.
You came up on that hood shit.
I
my
keep
nigga,
winning.
Nobody seeing your vision for real.
I keep
man.
winning.
Even your friends don't fuck with you.
I
man,
keep
nigga.
winning.
Be ready for your turn.
So
though,
here's your
G.
one shot right now. Your heart pounding. Clear throat right when the crowd piped down. It's kinda like time froze on ice now. Damn, stomach tight wound, flipped upside down. Try to speak, but the words and the thought took flight now. Sweaty, but can't pause, it'll wipe down. You pray for the day you flow with a hype crowd. Now they hanging on your every word and slight sound. Maybe these critics is wrong, maybe you twice as strong. What if every fear and doubt was gone? I'm up first, bright from dawn, like fuck it, we yawn. I squeeze life, pythons bite when the mic's on. Peace, I might respawn. I hook left with the right arm, living it 5-star, ring the alarm. My
full nature is still greater. I'm twice born, but never the ball. That's the fucking level I'm on. To these people, man. Picture me lost, I'm differently raw. Been through the muck, most y'all instantly barf. Now I'm strictly the boss, drippy, hood hippie couture, feeding these bitches till it's ripping they jaws. But y'all fans of the bullshit, me flicking it off. I damage your whole clique, these clowns really pissing me off. My verse is heat, and scripted is law. Like, bitch, you fucking know who you sitting across, huh? Okay, you got their attention now,
I keep winning.
You just gotta keep showing them what it is,
I
man.
keep winning.
Your shit different for real, though.
I keep winning.
Yo, stay away from this politics,
I
though,
keep
my
winning.
dude. They still not getting the message, kid.
I keep winning.
They still don't understand where you coming from.
I keep winning.
But make sure you secure the fucking ground.
I keep winning.
I see the growth,
Yo,
keep going.
I'm through playing it low key. Don't sleep. My power levels are OP. I'm floating. The mask
It
off.
is what it is.
The crew run deep, bigger than Sasquatch. We that large, the last gladiator. Blast off. It's either love or give me respect. That's all. Killing these niggas like, yeah, this what you asked for. Black Panther spit flames from Asgard. The whole squadron click transform. Fuck around, find out. Here's a crash course. We all time past now and fast forward. And we keep winning.
Yo, that's crazy, man. Yo, you did that, man. Yo, real talk, man. You can really rap, bro. Real talk, you on it.